Hi guys, it's Mitch HD and welcome to qualifying day here in Baku in Azerbaijan. Hopefully you guys are doing well ahead of what's going to be a very interesting day of practice 3. First up in about 14 minutes time, as you can see on your screen. But then, like I said, qualifying, which is starting in about 3 hours and 15 minutes from now. But it could be very interesting in practice 3 to see, compared to yesterday, where all the teams are at. And is it going to be similar to what we saw in practice 2? We'll see, of course, in a few moments' time. But I think it's going to be a very exciting day. I still think, even though I have a good idea in mind as to who I think is going to be on pole position, for example, I still think it'll be a close fight. And definitely in the midfield, I think we're in for a very exciting finish, result, whatever you want to call it, to that midfield fight. Alpine looking very quick. AlphaTauri looking very quick. Mercedes on the back foot a bit. And yeah, it's going to be a very exciting, I think, midfield scrap this weekend in Baku. Not just for qualifying, but the race itself, of course, tomorrow. But yeah, I think we're going to have a very, very exciting qualifying session. I mean, I can't remember. Maybe 2017 was probably the last qualifying session here in Baku that was, say the status quo and just not really that exciting. But definitely the last couple qualifying sessions here in Baku, or qualifying days, have been very, very exciting. Also very long because of red flags. So hopefully we don't get too many accidents today. But we did see plenty of drivers, locking up, going wide, going deep at some corners yesterday. So with the drivers pushing harder, and if that wind does keep up a bit, then it could definitely hurt the drivers today. But we'll see what happens as Sky F1 have started their coverage. Can't tell if it's as windy as yesterday. Doesn't appear to be as windy as yesterday, but there is still a wind by the looks of it. So yeah, we'll see how that affects the teams and drivers today. But before I get into before I get into talking a bit more about practice 3, let's first get into the results of practice 2. Here you go. Charles Leclerc ended up in P1 and he was 0.2 of a second clear of Sergio Perez in second. Max Verstappen finished up in third, and then Fernando Alonso was fourth. Carlos Sainz fifth. Carlos, though, in fifth place. He only did one soft tyre run, and I can't remember if he did his best time on the soft tyres or not, but he definitely could have gone a lot quicker than that. I think one of his laps was a bit affected by a mistake or something like that, so that's why he ended up behind his fellow Spaniard. And then the rest of the top 10 is Pierre Gasly 6th, George Russell 7th, Yuki Tsunoda 8th, Esteban Ocon 9th, and Lando Norris in P10. And then the rest of the order: Vettel, Hamilton, Stroll, Ricciardo, Bottas, Zhou, Magnussen, Albon, Schumacher, and Latifi. But yeah, coming from practice 2, Ferrari, certainly with Charles Leclerc, I think are the favourites today to be the quickest. We'll see what Red Bull can do. Red Bull normally on a Saturday are quicker than what they are on a Friday. So we'll see what they can do in practice here and also in qualifying later. But yeah, I'd still say I think Ferrari, with that now thinner, smaller rear wing, I think they've got the best overall package for a single lap. And then, yeah, Red Bull will be close behind, probably in second. And then the battle for the best of the rest tag, it looks to be between Alpine, Mercedes, and AlphaTauri. And then just after that, you've probably got McLaren, Aston Martin, Alfa Romeo. And then obviously at the back, it looks to be Haas and Williams. So we do have a clearish couple fights this weekend in terms of the teams. And here are your pictures, which I'll be taking you through today's practice stream, or the watch-along part of the stream. But yeah, we've got, I'd say 3 main fights. The fight for victory and podium, the fight for the rest of the points, which is, like I said, between Alpine, Mercedes, AlphaTauri, And then you've got, if there's retirements in the top 10, then you got McLaren, Alfa Romeo, Aston Martin fighting to be, best of the bottom half teams in terms of pace to be able to maybe nick a point or two. So, yeah, we've got some good fights this weekend, and as usual in Formula One, the field is a bit different from what we saw in Monaco. In Monaco, it was probably Ferrari quickest, Red Bull second, McLaren third, Mercedes fourth, and now it looks like it's Ferrari, Red Bull, and then possibly Alpine third, Mercedes fourth, even though I do think, by the way, with the Mercedes Works team, I do think they will be quicker today, because Lewis Hamilton did actually say yesterday that a lot of yesterday they were trying a different setup, I think, on the car, and it didn't quite work, so they're going to go back to what they know is better. So I do expect Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes to be better today. I still think they will have the third quickest car when it really matters in qualifying, but I am very curious to see how Alpine do, because we know their straight line speed's very good. We saw that yesterday in practice 2 in the final sector, which of course is completely flat out. They had the best car out of everyone in that final sector. So if they can keep that up and they don't drop off massively in terms of pace today on Saturday, and normally, that can happen with them, because, we saw it plenty of times last year where they were very quick on a Friday, and then on a Saturday they would drop off a bit in pace, because I do think they push a bit harder on a Friday than other teams do. But if they still have very strong pace today, which I hope they do, because obviously, having Fernando Alonso in the car, I want to see him fighting with, Hamilton, Russell, drivers like that. If they do have still good pace, I think Alpine are going to be very hard for Mercedes to stop. Certainly in the race, if Alpine are, within a second of them with that, incredible straight line speed. And with the Mercedes car porpoising quite a bit this weekend, Mercedes' straight line speed gain that they made, a couple races before this one looks to not be currently present. Obviously, we'll see in practice 3 and qualifying whether they can, or whether they have overnight, done work on that to sort that. But it seems as though Mercedes are excessively, excessively slower this weekend than I think what I expected. Definitely, when looking at the sector data from practice 2, Mercedes were definitely, were definitely slower in the final sector than I personally expected. So, yeah, we'll see how they do in the sectors in practice 3, and obviously in qualifying later today, as we've got, 6 minutes to go until practice 3 begins. And I'm just trying to see if there's any news about that I can read out to you guys. The only thing I can see is that Toto Wolff says that Mercedes driver is suffering so much from porpoising, physio can't always fix it. I will say, I reckon by the end of the season, they're going to be, I think their backs, Russell and Hamilton, I think their backs are going to be very, very sore, especially in the off-season, and probably in the summer break as well. And it's going to be probably very difficult to get back used to it again. Hopefully, though, of course, next year's Mercedes car is nowhere near as bad as this year's Mercedes car when it comes to the porpoising. So, yeah, we'll see how that gets on for them next year and all. But at the moment, like I said, Mercedes struggling, which not really a surprise, because they've been, except really for that Spanish Grand Prix weekend, Mercedes have been terrible this season. So it's not really a surprise that, that they're at least a second off the pace. I mean, I thought they would be about a second off the pace. I didn't think they'd be, 1.2, 1.3 at best. I thought I thought yesterday that was a bit excessive, but that's where they are. unfortunately, and they have a lot of time to make up on Ferrari and Red Bull. Quickly though, before we get into practice 3, I just want to, as I'm just seeing here, I think this is because of the F2 race. They're doing some repairs to the. This is currently live. They're showing on the TV broadcast. They're doing some repairs to the barrier on the exit of turn 1 because I think someone hit it in the F2 race. I think I saw a quick replay of it. Someone in the sprint race, I think, hit the barriers there. So I think they're just putting it back in place. I don't know if there's a delay to the session. Wouldn't be. I think there might be actually a delay to the start of the session. But I was just going to say, for anyone new watching, don't forget, I will be live tomorrow. Or not live tomorrow. Let me say, explain my schedule for today first. I will be live later today at 8 p.m. Not 8 p.m. Live, firstly, for qualifying. My other 2 streams today. I've only just woke up an hour ago, guys, so bear with me. My head is, truly spinning right now. So my next stream is the qualifying watch-along. I'll be live for that at 2:30 p.m. UK time, so that's, 2.5 hours from now. And then I'll be live later this evening at 8 p.m. UK time for the race preview for tomorrow's race in Azerbaijan. So don't forget, if you are new to the channel, to subscribe for that. Bottom right of the screen, you can do it right there. And as well, don't forget to smash the like button to share this video and channel every way you can. And as well, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at ChazHD5. But not sure if practice is going to get going on the exact time. We'll see in a moment. But yeah, hopefully they can get that fixed just about in time. Unless that was an old, what do you call it, clip. Rooksfoot says you're such a morning person, Chazza. Yeah, that's just the way I am. I've never been a morning person. I've always been, the later it is, the better I normally perform, really. They're just playing through the F1 intro, but I just want to see whether, whether the session is delayed or not. Actually, let me just read this out from some news regarding Ferrari. Bonotto, the team principal, says that the lower downforce rear wing in FP2 was the right choice. They started FP1 with the known higher downforce rear wing to give the drivers confidence. So far, the lower downforce rear wing is meeting the expectation that the simulation has shown, which is, obviously for them, very good. And yep, start of the session is delayed. They haven't said when it's delayed until... hopefully not too long, but it is track temperature. It's plus 40 degrees. I think it's like 47 degrees Celsius. Air temperature is 26 degrees Celsius, and the wind speed has dropped off by half compared to yesterday. So it's now 5 kilometers an hour as opposed to 10 kilometers an hour from yesterday. So yeah, we'll see when the session gets going. I'll get my graphics ready, that stuff, and get this picture in a better place. There you go. Obviously, this running order is just the stock one that I have. Obviously, I'll change it around as the session goes on. And FP3, when it does eventually get underway, is an hour-long session. So let me just put on screen that it is session delayed. A second. No, hold on. Better. And there you go. And yeah, they're doing repairs to the barrier. They've almost fixed it, so it's not we haven't got too long to go until we get going. But yep, session at the moment delayed. Don't know when it's gonna start. Probably, I'd imagine it would be in about 10 minutes from now, if I was to hazard a guess. Because that barrier looks as though it's pretty much fixed now. And obviously, they've then got to clear the track of all the people and obviously that truck that's cleaning the track. As Alonso and Ocon having a talk with each other at Alpine. As they're just watching the broadcast and, watching what's going on with the repairs. But yeah, session delayed again because of a repair needing to go on for the barriers on the exit of turn 1. So in the meantime, guys, for everyone watching, make sure to post comments in chat, and if you have any questions for me, then make sure to post it in the chat whilst we're waiting, and I'll make sure to read out what I can. Francisco, great to see you in chat. He says, hello Jazza, what do you think of the clash between F1 and Le Mans this weekend? Will this be a problem in the future when Ferrari and Alpine join Le Mans in the future? Well, for those teams, no, because Ferrari, for example, they've I think aren't Ferrari, they're committing, I think, a bigger amount of their resources to Le Mans, but they've especially the last few years or so. I mean, I will admit my knowledge of world endurance racing is not great, but they've already had cars in that series in the GT class, I think, for a while, so they technically do have a presence in that. But obviously, when they commit a lot more to it, I think they are committing a lot more to it in the future. Yeah, it might not be great for them, but I don't see the problem at the end of the day. I mean, from a spectator point of view, it is a bit annoying that F1 and the Le Mans 24 hours at the same time, but to be honest, and I know this from, obviously, I went and watched the 6 hours of Silverstone race in 2018. It is very hard as a spectator to keep up with what's happening in a World Endurance Championship race. It's very hard to keep up because, I mean, what the proper front-running cars are. The LMP cars, or they were at the time. I can't remember what they are now. Are they hypercars now? I can't remember exactly. I've probably got it horribly incorrect. But yeah, what the top cars are, but then, they tend to be so spaced far apart, and then most of the cars you do see are in a completely different race. So, to be honest, I mean, yeah, lots and lots and lots of people do watch the 24-hour Le Mans race. I'm not going to pretend they don't, because obviously they watch it for more than just, one certain fight. They watch it for lots of different battles through the field with the different classes and all of that. But it is pretty hard to watch a 24-hour race. I'm going to assume so, because, eventually at some point, everyone's going to space out to the point where nobody's really close to each other. So I don't think really it's that big of a problem in terms of viewership, to be honest. Morning, by the way, to G Walker and McLaren F1 race. And yeah, reminder for anyone just joining, session delayed because they are repairing the exit barrier at turn 1, which was pulled out of place by an F2 driver in the sprint race, which took place an hour or so ago, or an hour and a half ago. So that's why they are just fixing it. Looks as though they have pretty much fixed it. They're just cleaning, I think, the exit of turn 1 at the moment. So yeah, session should have started 5 minutes ago. Will probably start, I'd imagine, and there you go. They've just said the session will start at 15:15 local time. That's in 10 minutes from now. So in 10 minutes time, guys, practice 3 will get underway. So let me get rid of all this stuff. and go back to the countdown a second. And yeah, make sure to keep your comments, by the way, guys, come in chat, and I'll make sure to keep reading them. And let me increase the size of that, and I'll get the timer up in a second. Actually, I'll do it quickly right now. So it should be about 9 minutes now to go. So there you go. Let me just change the text. So until practice 3 begins. So there you go. So we've got, yeah, about 9 minutes, 8.5 minutes to go until practice 3 has begun. So not long. And again, reminder, the delay is a sensible one because the barrier was clearly put out of place by the F2 race earlier. Francisco follows up his previous comment by saying, would be interesting to see the likes of Leclerc or Alonso jump in their respective hypercars in the future and see how they do against veteran endurance drivers. Fernando, I think, proved that he could adapt very well to that. I mean, obviously he was part of the the best team on the WEC grid, but I think he adapted very well to endurance racing, considering that he's getting on in terms of age now. So yeah, thought he did pretty well. And some reason, yellow flag waving at what corner is that? Unless that's just he's waving it because the session hasn't started yet, and they've got the yellows out because it's delayed. I don't know, but I thought they were showing another barrier, Tech Pro barrier that was out of place. And yeah, McLaren F1 race making a point, saying rest in peace to the 5 guys tragically lost in the Isle of Man TT. And yeah, it is sad to see that. I think yesterday a father and son were killed, unfortunately. Yeah, very, very sad. That race is so dangerous, that bike race. I would definitely never go to it because I know it would just end in disaster. And the speeds they go at on those roads is terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. But let me try and find a couple more comments. Actually, let me get this on screen that was it at Vettel Leclerc has posted from it's data from Sky Germany about yesterday. Let me try and get it on screen quickly to show you guys some important data. Some of it you've already seen, but let me just scroll this down and resize it quickly. So try and focus on the bottom one if I can. Yeah, the top one that we already looked at yesterday, but if you see this bottom one, this is the speed trap data from, I think, the top 5 in all of the sectors from yesterday. So in Sector 1, look at that from Ferrari. An incredible Sector 1 from Leclerc in terms of speed, especially compared to his teammate even. Alonso is, doing very well in all of the sectors. Not really a surprise because I think they do run his car with less downforce, because I think he just likes that. Just Fernando, we know he does like an understeery car, so he doesn't like, there to be a ton of front downforce on the car. Sector 2 is not really important, but Sector 3, you can see Red Bull. They still have Red Bull, the quickest car in a straight line. It's just Ferrari with that lower downforce rear wing aren't losing as much as they would do at other circuits. And yeah, Alonso in the Alpine as well, doing very, very well. I mean, in Sector 3, a 14-kilometer-an-hour difference is a bit, is a bit excessive. But you can see there further data there. So I think what's happened here, I think this top bit, if I scroll here, this top bit I think is practice 1, and then the bottom bit is practice 2. Let me just check. Yeah, it is. So right, so yeah, look in Sector 3, for example. Red Bull, miles quicker than the two Ferraris, and the two Ferraris were on the higher downforce rear wing. 14 kilometers an hour. That is disgusting, the difference in speed. And then it shows you how lower downforce wings really help, because look at the final sector in practice 2. They're, Leclerc's quicker than the two Red Bulls just about, and Sainz is only 5 kilometers an hour slower. I'm pretty sure Leclerc got a slipstream from someone on his best lap. I can't remember who it was. It might have been a Williams. But if you look at Sainz, I mean, they've cut the gap down in terms of top end speed to Red Bull at least by 10 kilometers an hour. So that's the difference it makes for Ferrari and for everyone in general. If you can put on a lower downforce rear wing compared to a high downforce rear wing. So that could be the difference for Ferrari. And you never know, it could be the difference for them in the race. It could keep them just about ahead on track with some better top-end speed. But I still think the Red Bull fundamentally is just a faster car in a straight line, because we've seen that they just have ridiculously low drag on their car, which obviously with their car that has no porpoising whatsoever, it's not going to be affected by excessive drag. Obviously, when the car starts to porpoise, it does affect straight line speed. So, yeah. We'll cut back to this, but yeah, just interesting to show there that the difference in pace in terms of kilometers an hour speed in that final sector. Nello Angelo asks thoughts on pole today and the race tomorrow. I hope Ferrari doesn't mess up the Leclerc's race again. I think Leclerc is the favourite for pole, but I still think it'll be close enough with Red Bull that Red Bull can, still get pole position. But I'd have to go with Leclerc as the favourite, not just because he's, he is historically very quick here, but also because Ferrari from practice 2 look to be the quickest team, and also they've been the best team in qualifying this year. So you'd have to go for Leclerc. But yeah, for the race, I think it's going to be a 50-50 between Ferrari and Red Bull. Kind of similar to Miami, that, even if Ferrari get pole, it's going to take a big fight from them to be able to hold off Red Bull with that straight line speed Red Bull will have. And he also asks, Chazza, do you think putting F1 in your channel name would be will generate more viewers? Chazza F1, F1 Chazza. I know you had it in your old channel. What'd you call it? Yeah, I used to have it in the name of this channel. This channel used to be called, as people know, Chazza HD F1 until I think, was it 2020? I think when I just knocked off the F1. The reason I did is not because, for any other reason. The reason is because FOM, not officially, but basically told all F1 YouTubers that they're not allowed to put F1 in the name of their channel, or else they will get copyright struck. Now, not everybody has made the change. I know obviously F1 Word still has, F1 Word in his name. Maybe he's done some sort of deal with whoever if he does have some sort of person at FOM that he talks to or has talked to in the past, then maybe he's been able to keep it. But a lot of people have had to change their name to to make sure they don't get struck from it. For example, F1 reviews, or Dan, the Grosjean fan, he was called F1 reviews. Now he's called Racing Reviews. Cranky Yankee, who doesn't make much content anymore. I think he maybe has started to make some more content. He was called Cranky Yankee F1. Now he's called CY Motorsport. So, and I think, is Tomo still, I don't think Tomo's called Tomo F1 anymore, is he? I think it's just called Tomo now. I'm pretty sure he is. So, yeah, that's the reason I don't have F1 in my name. It's because of that. And I don't want to take a risk of getting my channel took down because it has F1 in it. Which I kind of, not even kind of, I do understand. It's because obviously we are, the reason they don't like us doing that is because, technically speaking, we are, right, so the session has started, by the way. I'll sync the timer up in about 45 seconds time. The reason they've done that is because, obviously, with our channels, we are earning money from what we do, and with F1 being in the name of our channel, we are then technically earning money off of F1's name. And so from a technical aspect, they are correct, but it is frustrating, but there's nothing I can do about it. But other people have had to make the change as well. As we've got only 2 cars on track right now are the Aston Martins, but I'll try and come back to you guys in the chat in a moment. As I'll just sync the timer up in 3, 2, 1. And there you go. So 59 minutes to go in practice 3. Nello Angeno, that's a shame about the name. I know there is WTF1, F1 Word. Hopefully they change that role. I think some people, because of their channel size, have been able to keep it, which is, sad for us, smaller content creators, but it's just, it's real life, isn't it? The bigger you are, the more, I guess, power you have, or, the more you can get away with things. That's not a criticism, by the way, against those guys. That they've done absolutely nothing wrong, but I think, their channel size definitely helps with them keeping the F1 in the name, compared to someone like me who has, 11,000 subscribers. And let me just quickly read out a couple of the comments. Brabamore says, I think you should go on the F1 Word as a guest. I used to go on his channel as a guest, but not anymore. And Rooksfoot says, F1 Word, I would say, has an agreement. He doesn't stream live sessions, and his shows never clash with the official F1 YouTube shows. Notice, but all the best, Sean, Jonty, Dan, and co. He probably has some sort of agreement like that to avoid, incurring the wrath of FOM, and good for him. And obviously, I personally have incurred the wrath of FOM a bit too many times in my time on this website, so I don't want to be incurring their wrath, too much more, to be honest, because I used to get, on my old channel, I used to get videos copyright struck basically every week. Even though they were fair use, most of them, I would still get copyright strikes and copyright claims because they, that was back when you didn't have to give if you copyright claimed or copyright strike someone's video. That was back when you didn't have to provide a timestamp. You basically could just claim anything in, of the video, or even, lie about it. Now you have to at least claim, or, put in the, what do you call it, in the title, not put in the title, but, put a timestamp in. Thing is, though, even that gets abused a couple times, because I've seen examples of people copywriting people's content and copywriting it from, like, this timestamp to another one, but the timestamp, the second timestamp will be actually further back in time than the first one, which makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. I'm just going to quickly look to see No, so Tomo's channel is just Tomo. I'm pretty sure he was called Tomo F1 when he started, though. I'm pretty sure he was. But anyway, there you go. Let's get on to the session. And we've only got like 3 or 4 cars on track, so nothing really major going on the circuit. Sergio Perez is just talking to his team boss, Christian Horner. So, yeah, he's not going anywhere. And the only person or people we're looking at the moment is, I think, Mick Schumacher. No, it's Kevin Magnussen. And a Aston Martin is coming up right behind him, about to overtake him down the pit straight, as Magnussen and the Aston Martin both come back into the pits. But yeah, so far, no real running. And it was Sebastian Vettel who was closely following the Haas, as Vettel hopefully will do a practice pit stop and then come right back out on track. And will he? Or is he just going to switch his car off? No, he comes back out and just does like a practice pit stop getaway, I guess you could call it, and comes back out, I think, on the hard compound tyre, does Sebastian. And yeah, as Rook is saying in chat, a bit of hard tyre running for Aston Martin and Mercedes. Obviously, they want to save tyres for qualifying. And remember, we have the 3 softest compounds this weekend. So, for qualifying, certainly you want to save that super grippy soft compound tyre for later and not burn it up in these hotter conditions that will certainly wear the tyres out a lot quicker than the conditions later where it's a lot cooler. Qualifying, well, local time basically takes place in the early evening. And for us, at least in the UK, it's lunchtime. As here is Lance Stroll, who is also coming back into the pits. Yeah, Stroll back in. And hopefully he'll do the same, coming back out on track after a practice pit stop. We're now looking at Sebastian Vettel, who's just coming into turn 16. That corner won't be as tricky as it was yesterday with the wind. Thankfully for the drivers, with the wind speed dropping by half compared to yesterday, from 10 to 5 kilometers an hour, as Sebastian Vettel is now coming down the very long pit straight. Is he going to start a lap? No, he is not. He's coming right back in again. So Aston Martin just look as though they're doing practice pit stops at the moment. And I am surprised the teams haven't come right back out or right out onto track straight away. I am surprised that they're leaving it, already now 10 minutes into the session to do any real running. Because, some of these teams, they could have accidents in practice 3 and then lose a few minutes or 30 minutes of track time in practice 3 going into qualifying. So, they do need to get out there and get some time on track, especially in these conditions where it is different to yesterday. It's not exactly the same. It's just as hot, but it's not as windy. Bravomoz says, I heard there's a pretty strong rumour going around that Oscar Piastri is replacing Latifi mid-season. Yeah, I think that's been the main driver lineup change rumour that we've heard in the last few weeks. And yeah, wouldn't be surprised by it. I think this is going to sound really harsh, but at the end of the day, Nicholas Latifi hasn't performed well enough, and he hasn't performed his end of the bargain, let's say. So unfortunately, as by the way, George Russell is coming out on the soft tyre, so that's good. It looks as though he's going to do a quick run for us to get things really going. Because he's not performed, Latifi, his end of the bargain, he doesn't really have a leg to stand on in terms of complaining about Williams dropping him mid-season or dropping him at a certain race or whatever. What I would do, and this is really ruthless, what I'm about to say, but what I would do, keep him in the car. Obviously, this weekend they're going to. Keep him in the car for next weekend, obviously, because it's his home race. Give him his home race, because he hasn't been able to have that, obviously, since he came into Formula 1 in 2020. But also make sure to get as much money out of the occasion, because obviously Williams will get, they'll get more media opportunities because Latifi's from Canada and all of that. Make sure to just drain as much money as they can out of the experience. And then after the Canadian Grand Prix, sack him. Again, I know that's really ruthless and really harsh, but he's not, like I said, he's not performed his end of the bargain. So they have, they have to move on. Whether it's mid-season, that soon in the season by the British Grand Prix, or end of the season going into 2023, they've got to move on, I think, from Nicholas Latifi, because he's just not performing well enough. He's not performing like he did in the second half of last season, which was good enough. And that's what kept him at the Williams team for 2022. As George Russell, like I said, he's on a soft compound tyre. And he will now come through turn 16. And let's see what Russell can do. The best lap time that Mercedes did yesterday was a 1 minute... What was it? It was a 1 minute 44, was it? Let me just quickly get back on screen these practice results and look. Yeah, it was a 1 minute 44.5. So that is the aim for Mercedes to try and beat straight away here in practice 3, as Russell already has begun his lap. He's already into turn 2. Slight rear end stability, but car looks fine. As he now opens the DRS down towards turn 3. As we've got a few cars on track now. Sainz, Bottas, Zhou, Leclerc, Schumacher, Magnussen. And he's gone through turn 3. Now to turn 4. Car looks pretty good through there. And he's done a 37.6 for the first sector, which is okay, I'd say, for the first sector at this point of the session. Now into turn 8. And into the castle section he comes. And gets through that just fine. And now through turn 12. And he now will swing through the kinks of turn 13 and 14. On this short little power section. Into turn 15. Very easy to lock up and go wide. Russell almost got it out of shape there by the looks of it on the entry to that corner. Now into turn 16. A lot easier of a corner today now that it's less windy. And he gets through it just fine. And now the final sector is just flat out through the kinks of turn 19 or 18, 19 and 20. And then flat out to the line. Let's see what his lap time is. It's going to be, quite a bit slower than his best time yesterday. And it is. It's a 1:47.2. So, he could probably go at least 3 seconds quicker in practice 3. But Russell is up to first place. So, let me just update that. So, Russell, first time on the board. In first place, Carlos Sainz. He's on a lap now. He's done a purple first sector. No surprise there, of course. And Sainz now coming towards the final few corners, or the final couple corners, rather, of the middle sector. And his middle sector time, compared to the Mercedes, should be very, very good. And no, it's not that good. Only 0.03 of a second quicker. And Russell was actually quicker that time in the middle sector. Russell says on radio, bottoming or porpoising didn't seem too bad. So maybe they fixed a bit of it, as Carlos Sainz now comes to the line. And let's see where he goes. Should go quickest, and he does. by 0.8 of a second. A very good final sector for the Ferrari there. So Carlos Sainz is up to first, with Russell in second, as Magnussen, I think, has just gone second. Charles Leclerc is on a first-timed run on the soft tyres, and he's done a purple first sector. His first sector half a second quicker than Russell, who's obviously in third. Magnussen's not first; he's actually in second. And then it's was it Zhou in fourth, and then Mick Schumacher in fifth. I'll update Mick Schumacher's position in just a moment, as Charles Leclerc has done a purple middle sector. So this will be Leclerc going easily into first place. Remember though, Ferrari, their best time from yesterday was a low 43, so they're nowhere near the pace as of yet, but it is P1 for Leclerc by 1.2 seconds on a 1:45.2. So Charles Leclerc is up to first place, and then it's Sainz, Magnussen, Russell, Zhou, and then the next and last representative time so far is Mick Schumacher in sixth. As there's a replay of Lewis Hamilton, I think, overtaking a car on the inside of a Haas and then going wide at turn one, just understeering wide. So that lap is blown. And here's a replay of Russell through the kinks. And car still porpoising through those kinks, but it wasn't as bad as what I saw yesterday of Lewis Hamilton. Yesterday with Hamilton, it looked downright dangerous at times through those, was it the turn 18, 19 kinks. As here comes Valtteri Bottas. The Alfa Romeo, one of the best cars when it comes to porpoising. And when I mean that, what I mean is it doesn't really porpoise at all. As now Bottas about to complete a lap. Bottas goes into P7 as Tsunoda has just gone up to the 6th place. And then, yeah, Bottas into 7th. Just quickly, we'll see where Russell goes with this new lap. And Russell improves up to 2nd place, about 3/4 of a second off the pace. And then you've got Gasly now up to 9th. Gasly though on the hard tyre, so is Tsunoda. So AlphaTauri doing a different session to everyone else. And now we're looking at, I believe, yeah, Lewis Hamilton, who is completing his lap. And looks as though he is going to go quite a bit slower than his teammate. This probably will put him in 4th place, I'd imagine. As Hamilton. Now, and yeah, definitely that Mercedes car is porpoising a lot less. So Mercedes, I mean, it's still porpoising, but just a lot less than it was yesterday. So that is very good to see as Hamilton comes to the line and goes P5. Reminder though, don't really pay attention to the times as of yet, because everyone is going a bit slower, quite a bit slower than they were in practice 2 yesterday. I'll let you know when the times really get good, or for what they should be. Alonso, very nice hold on the exit of turn 2, locked up, and then the rear end of his car almost spun him round right into the barriers, and that was a very nice hold from him. And well, we'll see what he can do on his next best lap, as Alonso still top of the speed traps so far in this session, as Lance Stroll, I'm just seeing, is up to P8 in the Aston Martin, as Guan Yu Zhou, or not Guan Yu Zhou, Zhou Guan Yu is in 6th, just improved his time. Sergio Perez goes 2nd and does a purple final sector. Not surprised with the purple final sector, but is still losing a crucial couple tenths of a second to Leclerc. So Perez up to 2nd. And let me just see what the rest of the order is. Well, they've just hid it because they're showing a one of the reporters trackside. So, yeah, can't quite give you the up-to-date order as of yet. I will in a moment. But at the moment, with 20 minutes in to practice 3, the current order is Leclerc, Perez, Russell, Sainz, Magnussen, Hamilton, Zhou, Tsunoda, Stroll, and Schumacher. Verstappen, Norris, Ricciardo, Albon, Ocon, Alonso, Latifi, Vettel, though I'm pretty sure I've not done a competitive lap time so far, so probably not for another 5-10 minutes are we going to get into some seriously competitive times here. But good to see, because they've got the camera there, the castle section. Good to see this part of the track up close. It's a very unique part of the circuit, and it is also very difficult because it really does test out the reaction times of the drivers. Because you have to turn left, and then do a slight jink to the right, slight jink to the left, and then a right hand turn after that. It's very, very quick. It's very, like I said, very unique part of the track, and it's very unique on the calendar. And at least, I mean, people may not like Baku. I don't mind Baku. I think it's a decent track, but at least it has some uniqueness in terms of the final sector is completely flat out, and obviously that castle section is unique as well. As Carlos Sainz, by the way, goes quickest on a 1:44.7. They're still about a second and a half, though, the Ferraris away from their best time from yesterday. So Sainz, Leclerc, Perez, Russell, Magnussen, Hamilton, it is for the top 6. And then Tsunoda is 7th on the hard tyre. And then you've got Bottas in 8th. Sebastian Vettel is in 9th place for Aston Martin, as Lewis Hamilton in 6th is about to do an improved time. And then it's Pierre Gasly in 10th, and Lewis Hamilton goes 5th. Lando Norris is about to complete his first time of the session. We'll see what he does in a moment, but it is Zhou 11th, and then Schumacher 12th, and then Ricciardo 13th. Alonso is 14th, and then Stroll 15th, as Lando Norris completes his first time of the session and goes only 10th as Norris. So Lando up to 10th, and trying to see Lance Stroll is up to 11th now, so that pushes Alonso down to P16. As Charles Leclerc, by the way, has returned to P1 on a 1:44.6. So Leclerc back in front. Stroll up to 11th, and then got Alonso 16th, and then Latifi in 17th place. And then the only drivers not to do a time is Ocon, Albon, Verstappen. Verstappen, by the way, is on an outlap, and Ocon and Albon, I think, are on a timed run right now. As Sergio Perez comes to the line and goes quickest by a quarter of a second onto a 1:44.4. But yeah, we're getting closer to those best times from yesterday, but we are still a second, about a second away from the best lap times from yesterday. So yeah, we're getting there. Should hopefully be there in a few minutes' time in terms of the lap times, as I've just noticed that Russell was already in 4th place. I was just going to say Russell's in 4th place. I forgot that he did his times earlier. Fernando Alonso has just gone up to 8th place for Alpine. Let me just see where Tsunoda goes with this lap. Tsunoda currently 7th and goes up to 6th. Tsunoda, though, remember, is on the hard compound tyre. And yeah, Alonso is up to 8th place now, so that's his first proper time on the board. Pierre Gasly in 13th. He's also on the hard compound tyre for AlphaTauri. And looks as though he is going to go, Gasly, probably into 7th or 8th place with this lap. Probably 8th, I'd imagine. And he will get as well a very nice slipstream to the line. So this might be an even better time for Gasly as he comes to the line and goes 4th on the hard compound tyre. That's a very good time on that tyre. So the hard tyre looking pretty good with in terms of pace. Gasly up to 4th ahead of the two Mercedes. But yeah, we're still not quite there yet in terms of lap times. Here is Max Verstappen on his first timed run. I've just noticed Esteban Ocon is up to 15th for himself. Max Verstappen has just done a purple first sector, about a 10th of a second quicker than Perez, as Sebastian Vettel is up to P6. As Verstappen into the castle section he comes. Not been a great weekend for Max. Had DRS problems at in practice 1. And yeah, just wasn't a great weekend for him. As hold on, I need to sort something out with my watch-along pictures, because this picture on your screen should not be in the order. There you go. That's actually my thumbnail, I think, from yesterday's qualifying preview. Anyway, yeah, Sebastian Vettel's up to 6th. And then you've got Valtteri Bottas has just gone 9th for Alfa Romeo. And that's it for now. As Max Verstappen comes to the line, did not do a purple middle sector or final sector, but he does go 2nd, half a 10th down on teammate Perez. But it looks as though, just like in Monaco, that Perez has the advantage over Max on pace. Something I did not think I'd be seeing for 2 consecutive races. But there you go. Max up to 2nd. Here's a replay of Lewis Hamilton down to turn 1. I'm going to guess he makes a mistake. And no, I think it's just a replay of them porpoising, and maybe porpoising, yeah, definitely quite a bit less than yesterday, which will be good for them. And here is a replay of Norris porpoising. They're just showing different cars, I think, porpoising. And reminder, obviously porpoising is when they get to the maximum of the downforce that's coming from the floor, and it basically, the aero basically stalls, if I've got this, if I can say this in the correct way without people getting confused. Yeah, the aero stalls, and then it starts bouncing up and down as it, reaches its full load and then unloads over and over again. And that does affect straight line speed. So the less porpoising you have, the quicker in a straight line you will be. And that's why Red Bull, who have probably the best solution to porpoising, have the quickest car in a straight line. Or maybe that's not the only reason, but it's definitely a big reason as to why they don't have that. As we've got some changes in the order, I've noticed. But I'll quickly cover what is happening at Ferrari as Carlos Sainz goes quickest on a 1:44.0. And Charles Leclerc, he's on a lap himself. He's done a purple first sector. As Lewis Hamilton has gone 7th. And Daniel Ricciardo on the medium compound tyre has gone 9th. As Leclerc half a second up on Sainz through the first 2 sectors. So Ricciardo 9th. And then you've got Norris in P10, and then Esteban Ocon in 11th place, Tsunoda 12th, and then Bottas 13th. Charles Leclerc comes to the line and goes quickest by half a second for 1:43.5. So he is, 3/10 of a second away from his personal best from yesterday and the quickest time the Ferrari could do yesterday. So we are, now that we're halfway through the session, we're basically now on pace at the front. As Lewis Hamilton says, I have no rear today, mate. Well, we saw that yesterday. He didn't really have a rear end then, so looks as though he's still struggling. And yeah, he's losing 3.5 tenths of a second to his teammate, George Russell. Of course, it's Saturday, and that's Russell's day. As Sky F1 now go to an ad break, as Sergio Perez looks as though he was on an improved time there. So, yeah, I don't know what Perez is now going to do for the end of the lap. So we'll see in a couple minutes when they come back from the ad break. But just want to say before I come to you guys in chat again, if you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe for more content like this, because I will be live 2 more times today. I'll be live in 2 hours and, or not 2 hours, about 1 hour and 45 minutes from now at 2:30 p.m. UK time for the qualifying watch-along for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. And then I'll be live later tonight for the 3rd time overall today for the race preview for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Again, 8 p.m. UK time for that. And then again, to remind you guys, I'll be live tomorrow. Don't know if I will be live with Nib. I'm pretty sure I will, because I think timing-wise, it's a pretty decent time for him. Unless, you know, there's something or some reason he can't come on, which, you know, if there is, then that's fine. But I don't know for sure yet as to what his status is. But, yeah, tomorrow's race watch-along will be live at we'll be live at 11:30 a.m. UK time. That's half an hour before the race starts at 12 p.m. UK time. And then, of course, about 45 minutes after the race finishes, I'll be live with a race reaction stream. So, yeah, don't forget to subscribe and come around for that content later today and for tomorrow as well. Bottom right of the screen, you can subscribe right there. And don't forget as well to smash the like button and share this video and channel everywhere you can. And don't forget as well to follow me on Twitter at ChazHD5. And like I said, I'm pretty sure Nib will be on the stream tomorrow as my co-commentator. That's it. Sack Norris, he's done. Obviously, with him being behind Ricciardo. Daniel, I will say, so far this weekend, Daniel's not done too bad on pace. Hopefully, we'll have a better weekend than what we saw in Monaco, and better qualifying than what we saw last year compared to his teammate. But it will be hard because, what do you call it? Norris is very, very quick, as we know, over a single lap. Very, very quick. And just trying to see on Twitter if there's any F1 news that I can read out. No, not at the moment. So, yeah, the Sky F1 ad break. Yeah, it's going to end in about 30-40 seconds time by the looks of it, which is good. And we'll see. Hopefully, some better times. Rook is saying that Perez is up to 2nd, so I may as well put that in quick. There you go. Perez up to 2nd. And yeah, hopefully for the next 15 minutes or so, we'll see some, you know, quicker lap times than practice 2 yesterday. Pole position, I think, will probably be in the, 1 minute 41s, I think, is where it'll be. As here's just a replay they're showing on screen of Leclerc and some of the highlights of his lap, I think, because he is still quickest on a 1:43.514. And yeah, Ferrari. I think with Ferrari, I don't think they necessarily set their car up to be, you know, to have extra downforce. I think the reason they lack the straight line speed compared to Red Bull is because the Ferrari porpoises more down the straight. Because according to rumor, the actual data from the engines shows that the Ferrari one is actually the strongest on the grid. So, with the Ferrari car porpoising, obviously that's going to limit their straight line speed potential. As Alex Albon goes 15th, I think that is, for Albon. So Albon going some decent speed there. And it's Leclerc in first, and then Verstappen second, Perez third, Sainz fourth, and then Gasly, Russell, Hamilton, Vettel, Ricciardo, and then Ocon 10th, Norris 11th, and then Tsunoda, Bottas, Magnussen, Albon, Alonso, Stroll, Latifi, Zhou, and Schumacher. So that is your current order here in Baku in practice 3, as Daniel Ricciardo is on another time lap on the medium compound tyre. Let's see. Well, he has so far done 2 personal best sectors. This will probably put Ricciardo in probably 8th place. So this won't be much of a gain for him. We have to remember the McLaren, which does porpoise a bit down the straights, as we're seeing now. And with the Mercedes power unit, the McLaren is just, not that quick whatsoever down the straight. And he does go 8th, about 2.5 seconds off the pace for Ricciardo there. As decent pace so far on the medium for Ricciardo when Norris is on the soft. But McLaren, I think McLaren's best lap time from yesterday was a mid 1:45? So, I mean, Ricciardo's pace for the medium looks pretty decent. I would say at the moment on a 1:46.0-ish, I think he's on. And Ricciardo has actually done the most amount of laps today. So, good for him. And he is the only car at the moment on track. Everyone else is in the pits, obviously getting refueled, getting, new tyres put on. So, in these final 20 minutes, I think we're going to see some real strong pace from everyone on a new set of soft tyres. As we're just looking at Pierre Gasly in the AlphaTauri pits. It looks as though he is ready to come out very soon. Verstappen just getting a cool down in his car. Obviously, it's very hot. And they're just showing the sector comparison between Leclerc and Verstappen. Verstappen quicker, surprisingly, in the first 2 sectors, but then in sector 3, is losing 0.2 of a second. So, a bit surprising that. And Perez also getting his cool down. And just work going on for everyone. Lance Stroll also work going on on the rear end of his car by the looks of it. And it doesn't look as though Stroll is going to be going anywhere anytime soon, as Ricciardo has now come into the pits, but Latifi has now come out onto track, so that's good. It's just showing Leclerc's power unit elements used. He's used 1 out of the 2 energy stores, 1 out of the 2 control electronics. The MGU-Ks he's used 2/3 of, 2/3 of the MGU-H, and then he's on his last turbocharger, so he will probably have to take a penalty for that at some point this season. I don't think, though, you get a massive penalty for too many turbocharger parts. I think that's only a 5-place penalty or a 10-place, as opposed to a, if it's an MGU-K or something, it could be even worse. But currently no action on track, which is a bit annoying. But nobody's heading out there. When we've only got 20 minutes to go in practice, and everyone is in the pits except for Nicholas Latifi. To be honest, I'd rather them show Latifi at this point rather than stationary cars. And I think they're about to do that. Yep, here we go. Here is Nicholas Latifi coming down the pit straight. And he is DRS open. And let's hopefully see an improvement in time from him. Latifi is 3.5 seconds off the pace right now. And 0.4 of a second slower than Albon, which is not too bad for him. As Latifi now to turn 3. I think with this Williams car, I mean, it's not as bad as like the 2019 Williams car. The bad thing about this Williams, though, is like with the 2019 car, you could tell why the car was bad. With this car, though, it doesn't look particularly like you can't see obvious reasons for why it's not a good car. And that's not a good thing. That's actually the worst thing you can have in the world. For example, if your car's bad because it has obvious and bad amounts of understeer, then you can sort that out and it'll make obviously a big difference. But if your car, generally on the front end is fine and generally on the rear end is fine and isn't excessively bad, very hard to improve a car. And I feel as though that's kind of the case of Williams, where the drivers are not happy necessarily with how the car feels, but, there's not a clear area to work on with this car. It's just a bad car, simple as. Which is a shame, but that is reality, unfortunately. Williams have been stuck pretty much to the foot of the championship since 2018. As Latifi, by the way, improves a lot on that lap and goes up to 10th place. So, big improvement from Latifi. That's probably a qualifying sim run there, considering how quick that was from Latifi. As here's a replay of him. Yes, slight instability through turn 5. But like I say with the Williams, it's not as obvious as, say, the 2019 Williams car, where the 2019 Williams, it was just so obviously terrible at everything. Right, so we've got a few more cars on track. Magnussen, Alonso, Zhou, Schumacher, obviously Latifi, and Russell and Gasly on track right now. I think Russell, Schumacher, and Alonso, yeah, they're on laps right now. Alonso obviously down in 17th place. Alonso has done not a great first sector, I have to say, for him. And so Fernando already this season has exceeded most of the power unit elements that he's allowed to use. Obviously, he did take a penalty in the Spanish Grand Prix and started from the back there, but he'll have to take penalties this season, so they'll have to be smart with where they take those penalties with him. As Alonso now coming into turn 15, we'll see what his middle sector looks like. He's about to pass a Williams, and the Williams gets out of the way. And Alonso, very, very slow middle sector. Compared really to where he should be going, this is not a quick lap from Fernando. Remember, Fernando yesterday did a 144.1, 144.2. This is going to be a bit slower than that from Fernando as he comes to the line. And Alonso, a 146.2. It improves his position, but that's a couple seconds off the best pace that he can do. So still not representative from him. As Magnussen goes all the way up to P5 for Haas. And Mick Schumacher has just gone 7th. Russell now goes up to 5th. for Mercedes. And yeah, Schumacher is up to 8th place now because of Russell improving. Russell says, wow, no rear end there. So the same complaint. The same complaint as Lewis Hamilton. I've got to say, though, very disappointing for Mercedes that time of Russell, because still a second a lap off the pace, and Ferrari and Red Bull, they've still got a lot more pace to show. So that's very disappointing for them. Pierre Gasly is finally for AlphaTauri on the soft compound tyre, and we'll see what time is about to do. By the way, Zhou, currently on this lap for Alfa Romeo, quicker than Bottas, and they're both on a lap. Zhou is only about 4 seconds behind Valtteri Bottas. So we'll see what he does as Gasly goes 6th for AlphaTauri. Valtteri Bottas goes 9th, but Zhou Guanyu goes 8th. So great time from Zhou there. Good to see. So yeah, Bottas, I'll just put him in 9th, and then Zhou up to 8th place there. So both Alfa Romeos for the moment in the top 10, and something flying off the back of the Alpine. Don't know what that was. May have run over something. Who knows? And here's a replay of, I think, Magnussen running slightly over it, and now it's thankfully fallen off the track. It's just a bit of carbon fibre. It's a very slight bit of carbon fibre, nothing serious. And yeah, Russell definitely in turn 2 there, losing the rear end slightly. And also exit of turn 12, rear end looking very leery. Not good there. As Yuki Tsunoda is now in the final sector. He's obviously done a purple, he's done a personal best. 1st and 2nd sector. As long as he can put it up to, say, 7th or 8th place, that would be a good effort from the Japanese driver. And Tsunoda goes 9th. That's not great from Tsunoda, I have to say, that time. As Sebastian Vettel is about to complete his lap on a new set of soft tyres. Currently in 14th place, but Vettel goes 8th. And is a good run of form. Looks to be continuing because he was on the fringes, I think, of the top 10 yesterday in practice too. And yeah, he's looking pretty quick right now. And just trying to make sure my order is correct, and it is. So Charles Leclerc, he is on a new lap, and he's done a purple 1st sector. Let's see how much quicker can he go compared to his best time yesterday in practice 2 for 1:43.2. He's currently 3.5 tenths of a second up, so this will probably be a 1:43.0 or a 1:43.1. So Leclerc about to set the fastest time of practice and the weekend so far, as Leclerc comes to the line and does a loses a bit of time actually in that final sector, but does a 1:43.2, pretty much the same time he did in practice 2. As there's a yellow flag in sector 1 for some reason. Don't know why. It's either for someone going deep at turn 1, 2, or 3. As Verstappen starts his lap, but there's going to be yellow flags out there. So, yeah. Lando Norris, I've just noticed, is up to P5 as Verstappen has backed off. It's for Valtteri Bottas, who's down the escape road at turn 3. We can see him. And looks as though he's spun, or he's had maybe an engine blowout and it's locked up. He's gone very deep. Oh no, he's still able to drive. So maybe he's just had a very big spin. Don't do that, Valtteri. You're going to go into the barriers. Let me just update a couple positions quickly whilst he gets it reversed out there. Lando Norris is up to 5th for McLaren. That's a very impressive time for him. McLaren's best time yesterday was a 1:45 something, and that's a 1:44.4 from Norris. So yeah, big improvement from McLaren there. So Norris up to 5th, and here's a replay of Bottas. I'm going to assume he locks the rear end up and it spins him round. And nope, just goes deep, and then he tries to spin round. Does he hit the barrier? No, he just... Right, so he just basically took time over trying to get himself out of the escape road. So just very clumsy from the fin. But Alfa Romeo, as a team, you know, their two drivers don't look too bad, I'd say, in terms of pace at the moment. If you're an Aston Martin fan, though, good news. Not only is Vettel in the top 10, so is Lance Stroll now. Lance Stroll up to 8th. Aston Martin looking pretty competitive. And yeah, yellow flags now come back in as Max Verstappen is now preparing to do what could be his final run of practice 3 before qualifying. And he is struggling a bit, Verstappen, this weekend. He is ahead of Perez at the moment, but he has had it difficult this weekend. Let's see on this lap if he can go into first position. With Leclerc, 3.5, 4 tenths ahead of him at the moment. Let's see what Verstappen can do in response. Good lap so far. Into turn 4. Gets as close to the wall as you dare. Perez also is on a time lap. Not an improved first sector, though, for Max. He's a 10th of a second down on Charles Leclerc. It's the middle and final sector, though, that really is important here in Baku. As Sergio Perez has done a purple first sector. Perez on for a very good lap so far. Well, compared to Verstappen he is, because he's already a 10th and a half quicker than Verstappen on this lap so far. Perez already has a decent gap. As Max now through 13 and 14. And into turn 15. Hopefully doesn't go deep here. And no, he doesn't. And yep, gets as close to the wall as you dare. And for the middle sector, it's a personal best, but he's about 3 tenths of a second down on Leclerc. So he's going to need a monstrous final sector if he's going to go quickest. This will probably put him closer to Leclerc, but still second. Sergio Perez, though, is about 0.5 tenth off Leclerc in the middle sector. So Perez might be able to sneak into first place. Here comes Max to the line. And Max does improve, but goes or stays second, but he's 2 tenths of a second down on Leclerc. Perez now comes to the line. Can he go quickest? Yes, he can by 3/4 of a tenth. Perez quickest on a 1:43.1. A good time there from Perez. Reminder though, Leclerc did not do a personal best final sector on his personal best time. So Ferrari can go quicker, I'm pretty sure of it. It's Carlos Sainz, who is in 4th place and 8 tenths of a second off the pace, is on a new timed run. He's on a personal best first sector. Norris, by the way, up to 5th, and Daniel Ricciardo up to 6th. So very good time there for Ricciardo, and only, 0.5 tenth slower than Norris. Very good time there. Russell 7th. It is, and then Ocon has gone up to 8th place. Alpine don't look to be too quick at the moment, but I don't think they've really done a lap time as quick as what they did yesterday. So, yeah, still not that representative from them so far. As Carlos Sainz is about 3 tenths of a second off after 2 sectors on Sergio Perez. This will probably keep him in 4th place, but improve his lap time by about 4 tenths of a second, I would imagine. But yeah, it's Esteban Ocon in 8th. Sebastian Vettel is 9th. As Carlos Sainz, stays 4th and improves by 4 tenths of a second. Yeah, Vettel is 9th now. Gasly 10th. Stroll 11th. And then Zhou is 12th. Magnussen 13th, and then Sonoda 14th. Albon is 15th. Schumacher 16th. Bottas 17th, and then Hamilton, Latifi, Alonso. Reminder, with Alonso, I mean, Esteban Ocon, I think the time Esteban Ocon just did was equaling pretty much his... was it equaling his best time from yesterday? Maybe not. Maybe, 3-4 tenths quicker than yesterday in practice too. But Alonso is at the back and is about, a second to a second and a half slower than his personal best from yesterday. So we haven't seen Alpine's true pace in this session yet. There was a yellow flag briefly in Sector 2, and here's what it's for. Leclerc locking up on the entry turn 15. Went down the escape road and spun it back round again. Good to see. But looks as though we're about to watch on the TV broadcast Lewis Hamilton. Oh no, we're not. We're going to be doing a trackside on Sky F1. Absolutely brilliant. Not like we've seen turn 11 before. So yeah, I'll keep you updated. Sorry. I'll keep you updated with Lewis Hamilton's lap time when we find out more about it, but they're doing a trackside with Naomi Schiff at turn 11 on Sky F1, so yeah, nothing, obviously, I can do about that. But with, 4.5 minutes to go, I mean, Lewis Hamilton needs to get a good lap in. It's currently the top 10, Perez, Leclerc, Verstappen, Sainz, Norris, Ricciardo, Russell, Ocon, Vettel, Gasly, but Hamilton and Alonso, two drivers who were in the top 10, or should be in the top 10 today, and I expect to be in qualifying later. They are on new, improved laps, so we will look out for them in a moment. And Lewis Hamilton, Lewis Hamilton is currently, I believe, on his timed lap. As we're currently looking at Fernando Alonso, who is on probably his final lap of practice before the qualifying. And first sector, not great, but not too bad, as the Red Bull McLaren there get out of the way. Quite a bit of traffic in the way there for Alonso, but like I said, thankfully, they get out of the way. For the middle sector, we'll see what Alonso can do here. But the castle section, he's done pretty well. And, looking pretty good so far. And, Alonso's best time in practice too, and of the weekend so far, was a 1:44.1, I think it was, or it was around that. And he's currently on a 1:46.2, so he's a lot slower than his personal, what he can do, his personal best from yesterday. Currently, after 2 sectors, he's 1.7 seconds off. So either Alpine are struggling with the track conditions, or Alpine still have a bit more to show. As Lewis Hamilton only goes 11th for Mercedes. Alonso will go from 20th up to 11th place. A purple final sector there for Alonso. So the Alpine is definitely the quickest car down the straights. But that was, as there was a yellow flag there briefly, that was a 1:44.7. That's about half a second slower than he did in practice 2 yesterday. So like I said, if he did, what he did yesterday in practice 2, then he'd be 5th right now. So Alpine, they've got a quick car. They just need to get it together a bit more in Sector 1 and Sector 2. Maybe they're not running as, as less fuel as others are. As it looks as though a lot of these cars on track, they're all in the same part of the track. They look as though they're all waiting to do a practice start in a moment. As I think there was a Ferrari who just overtook them, who's on a quick lap of... is it Sainz or Leclerc? I'm not sure. Might be Leclerc. Yeah, it is Leclerc. But he is probably going to encounter some traffic, so... yeah, not great. As here's Verstappen on a final lap here in practice. He's done a purple first sector And oh dear, that is very poor. The Alpine there on the apex of turn 12 was right on the apex, and Verstappen had to back out. And there is literally cars everywhere now in this, at the end of the middle sector. Like I said, it's like they're all waiting for the session to end so they can then do the practice start on the grid, which is why they're all going so slow. So, yeah, cars everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. And looks as though, I would say, with 30 seconds to go, looks as though that is the end of the session. Yeah, here's a replay of on board from Verstappen. And yeah, the Alpine just let through a car that was going slow anyway, but then the Alpine was on the apex. So yeah, poor there from the Alpine. I don't expect something like that to happen in qualifying though, because I don't see why that would happen in qualifying. But we're now looking at Carlos Sainz, and this is Sainz's final lap in practice. He's in a purple best middle sector. Can he go any higher than 4th place? Comes to the line, Carlos Sainz, and goes... No quicker. About 10th, almost 0.2 of a second slower on that particular lap. And this is Sergio Perez on a final lap here. Then a purple first sector, needs a car out in front to get out the way. No, the car in front's not going to get out the way. And it's going to hold him up, and it's a bloody Williams as well. Perez needs him to get out the way because Perez is on an improved lap here. Why is the Williams not getting out of the way? I mean, yeah, the Williams might be on a time lap, but he's holding Perez up. And yeah, this is just disastrous for Perez. I mean, could be worse. This could happen in qualifying. Perez, though, will get a good slipstream down to the start-finish line. So as long as the Williams doesn't move out of his way now, he should be probably gaining from this. So let's see what Perez can do for his final lap time in practice 3. Oh, almost lost the rear end there through the kink. And Perez now to the line. Let's see if he can improve on a 1:43.1. I think he will just about. And no, actually he won't. He goes 1/10 of a second slower. So, guys, that is, I believe, pretty sure. Yeah, it is. That is the end of practice 3. I'll read out your final order of the session. So Sergio Perez ends practice 3 quickest. Charles Leclerc is 2nd. Verstappen 3rd. And then Sainz 4th. Norris 5th. Ricciardo 6th. Russell 7th. Ocon 8th. Vettel 9th. And Gasly 10th. And Alonso 11th. Hamilton is 12th with Stroll in 13th place. And then Zhou 14th, Magnussen 15th, Tsunoda 16th, Albon 17th, Schumacher 18th, Bottas 19th, and Nicholas Latifi in 20th place. So that is your final finishing order in practice 3. Don't forget, guys, to join me in an hour and 10 minutes from now for the qualifying watch along for qualifying, of course, here in Baku. And as well, don't forget to join me as well at 8 p.m. UK time tonight, so in about 6.5 hours from now, for the race preview for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix race, which of course is tomorrow around this time. It would be great to have you along for those streams. And if you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. Bottom right of the screen, you can do it right there. Don't forget as well to smash the like button and share this video and channel everywhere you can. And as well, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at ChazHD5. And don't forget as well to join my Discord server, link below in the description. But guys, until my qualifying watch along, it's been me, ChazHD. Goodbye.